This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome, Kapra sir.
Good afternoon to everyone.
Good evening.
Navin, is the screen visible?
Yes. Here.
Yes.
So we will wait for a few minutes, Ashish sir, then we can log in.
Certainly.
Huh? Hi, Gaurav.
Hi, Bhavin. So, Bhavin, I think we should wait for 5 minutes or we can start.
No,
It's up to
we'll
us.
wait. We'll wait for 5 minutes. Let the participants join. I think.
No issues. I understand it's a Saturday evening, so
That's what. So,
honestly speaking, that's a really difficult time for everybody. Saturday
understood.
evening at 5 o'clock, people are in a holiday mood already. The weekend mood is already there.
No, but sir, what will be happen on weekdays? That would be also challenge के offices there. So the
Nobody
learning
wants to
opportunity.
study. Honestly
Yeah,
speaking, nobody wants to study. We have to make them sit and do. And the best way is like what you did to me. You make me the speaker, then I have to compulsory sit and study myself.
no. But trust me from my heart. saying, sir. But the level of the knowledge and the level of the discussion, it was truly interesting for me also and for other participants also. What you dedicatedly help the study group by involving and keep it asking more questions and providing your such a valuable knowledge. So that
Thank
was
you.
a
Thank
really
you.
fantastic, and I said it to the seniors also.
But I
So
must really compliment WRC and the coordinators of this group who have brought in very interesting topics, and even the other speakers who really bring out a lot of discussions on the table, good points, which help us to think and come up with innovative thoughts and ideas. I guess the purpose is what we are doing is
yeah,
achieving the purpose.
yeah, yeah.
It's great,
But just
Bhavin.
the
And
yeah,
yeah,
yes, sir. But just the attendance, if the person, if they joined it, then it would be truly enriching, and even for a speaker, like what you in each and every study forum, what you give it so insightful knowledge and some new tips, and if more participants join, then it would be truly more fruitful the session because it is not
great.
a class session or lecture, but
I guess slowly and gradually, as people start realizing the importance of meeting in our own forum and speaking out whatever we think freely, discussing, sharing our issues, problems, and even I guess slowly and gradually the numbers will pick up.
not the hands and specifically. So the objective should be achieved. That's what.
True.
Yeah, Vinith has joined. Welcome, Vinith. Vipul has joined. Hi, Vipul. Hi, Vinith. Okay, Nehal has joined. Good.
Hi Nehal. Hi Vipul. How are you?
I think they are on mute.
Yeah, yeah.
Ram Verma is not joined today. Otherwise, he is also an active member.
He is the regular joiner in most of the meetings.
Correct, correct, correct. Also tell me.
Hi, Gauri.
Hello.
Hi, Gauri.
Hi.
Shall we start, Ashish sir, or how we should we wait for another minute? What's
No, I
your
guess we'll start. I'll tell you the reason. The
uh,
initial few slides are in any case extremely very basic and fundamental. Because
okay.
just to set the stage, this thing. So just let me know whenever I have to start.
You can start, so rather than wasting. I don't think so. Okay, almost 9 and already message in the group also. But
I
No,
think
no worries.
Bhavin, Bhavin, I think we should start.
yeah, definitely because your time and our time is also. Yes, Ashish sir, you can start the session.
All right.
So I
Thanks,
I
Bhavin.
would be
Thanks.
more interested. I would be more interested in
All
learning
right.
from.
So
Yeah.
good evening, everybody, and welcome to this session on risk-based internal audit manufacturing sector. Primarily, the focus today's discussion would be what could be the issues in manufacturing sector and how do we look at them. Really speaking, it becomes very difficult to write down all the risk that could be attached to manufacturing sections or sectors. So what I've done is that during our presentation, we will try to make an risk-based audit plan for you know two scopes or something like that. We will try to just work out. Certainly, any questions that you might have or any area that you would want to discuss, we would be very free to discuss that. But I have just thought that specific to manufacturing, if we discuss two scopes like which are not usually done in the audit, internal audit, I guess that would be the purpose, what I thought would be relevant. So yeah, this is the content slide. What is risk-based internal audit? So I've popularly RBIA is how it is being acronymed as. So just to set an backdrop, Institute of Chartered Accountants has also issued a guidance note for risk-based audit, and the Institute of Internal Auditors also has a guide to risk-based internal audit. So I have also referred to those two guides primarily to make this presentation, and certainly a little bit of my experience I have put in for the practical aspects that really happen now. We all have seen there are so many things that are that the guides tell us to do, but when we actually go out on the field, very few organizations are ready, truly speaking, to go into or go through that process. So a lot of auditors' judgment is involved when we look at a risk-based audit, and we will have a look at how things unfold when we look at a risk-based internal audit. Yes, let us get back to school. First, we will look at, certainly everyone here is an internal auditor, so I don't need to read this again. This is the basic definition of our internal audit. So it's certainly add value is what we are looking at, and there is an effectiveness of risk management. I guess two critical points that we would want to look at
Uh,
here.
Ashish sir, sorry to disturb you in between. I hope since it is a few members would be remembering Ashish Jaiswal. So let me have because I think Kapra sir is new in this session. So we will take a few minutes of your profile to introduce yourself to Kapra sir.
Okay, okay.
So
All
I
right, all right.
because I was in the back of my notion that everybody knows you. So sorry, just wait for a few minutes. I think Gaurav will start. Can you just, in a summary, can you introduce Ashish sir? Because we all
Yes, yes,
know.
yes.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I request everyone to please mute. I think there is some voice disturbance. So good evening, everyone. So welcome to this today's session, which is on the risk based of internal audit. So our today's session speaker is Mr. Ashish Jaswal. So Ashish sir is basically having around of more than 20 years of experience into this particular field. Earlier, Ashish sir was associated with the KC Mehta and Company for around 5 to 6 years. After that, he was executive directors at one of the leading manufacturing company, Sigma Panels, as well as Hemant Plastic. After that, he joined KC Mehta and Company in 2012 as a partner, and now he is heading the GRC practice for CNK for entire India. If we talk about the in his work experience, so He has done a lot of audits and led the team member of more than 50 plus peoples and presented a lot of audit reports with the audit committee. And these company includes even a small size to bigger size companies say the turnover of more than 5,000 crores as well. And he also handled the finance department as well as the virtual CFO department. So I think today's session is going to be very valuable for for everyone, as he is having the lot of experience into the internal audit as well as some other plans. Thank you so much, Ashish sir, for giving us the opportunity. So yeah, please continue. Ashish sir, please continue. Thank you so much. You are on mute, I think.
Thanks, Gaurav, for this introduction. In fact, sometimes I wonder that such introduction sets the expectations of the audience very high, and then it puts a back pressure on the speaker. But thank you so much for your kind words. Thanks a lot.
No, no,
All
sir.
right. So yeah. So let us look at, I mean, I guess this is something, and by this time everyone would have read this definition also. So I'm not getting into this. There are few slides on which I would like to wait. While I will, initial few slides are only to create a backdrop. So I will not be, spending a lot of time or reading. This was particularly discussed, this slide about risk was particularly discussed in our last, study circle when I believe we had it on ERM, enterprise risk management, and there was a good discussion happening on that whether risk is only something that is bad, that is something that is a negative impact on the organization or not. So risk definition per se doesn't say that it has a negative impact or it is going to adversely impact the operations or the organization, but whatever is uncertain and has an impact on achievement of the objectives is considered to be as a risk. So again, I'll not be dwelling too much on this because we had an elaborate discussion in the last study circle meeting itself. So just we'll keep this in mind because when we are talking of a risk-based audit plan, certainly understanding risk is going to be important. Well, I guess this is also pretty standard, this thing that, how do we do the risk management? So we assess, identify, analyze, then decide as to what is going to be the residual risk. And accordingly, we look at either we reduce, transfer, control, accept. What do we do with the risk? There are certain, financial risk, reporting risk, operational risk, which are to be considered, strategic risk, reputational risk, which are to be considered when we look at a risk management of an organization. Again, I've sort of picked up all this from our previous study group meetings, which was very relevant. In fact, I'm happy that though both the study group meeting topics are in line with each other. So we talk of ERM, which is from where the risk-based audit draws a lot of inputs. This also we have discussed earlier that there are inherent risk to any business, and certainly they might be emerging risk as well, which are not as of now in the horizon, but they might be there coming up around the corner. And what controls are there? After the controls, whatever is left, which the organization has to really look at, is the residual risk. So these are the aspects that I just wanted to put as a backdrop, that we would be talking about residual risk, we would be talking about inherent risk when we will look at the risk-based audits. So in internal audit, the issue becomes is that we always have this challenge as to how much we have to cover, because most of the time when we get an appointment, we hardly get a scope which is approved by the audit committee. So they say that yes, you send a proposal and we will appoint you. The proposal is sent out with our understanding, and without a clear response as to what is the coverage, what all things you have to cover, how much you have to look at, what would be the detailing, is not mentioned in the appointment letter. And therefore it becomes very challenging as to understand what could be the expectations, what could be the uncertainties, and how do we actually plan our resources to execute the audit. I'm sure most of the internal auditors who are present here would have heard someday or the other in the audit committee that आपका report ठीक है, लेकिन we wanted you to do more. You have not covered this. You have not covered that. Or they would say that this is very superficial. We are not interested in observations which are at operational level. We would have something critical. Please bring it to us. But at the same time, it becomes very challenging, and this is one of the biggest auditors' challenge when they do internal audit. Anyone would like to share any ideas or thoughts on this, like what other challenges, whatever I have mentioned, anything else that you have gone through, any experience that you would want to share at this point?
And the another is the data request also from the auditee becomes a challenging. The time spent, what we do it, basically with respect to the response, what we receive, the data. So if we can get this turnover TAD, then our timing also, this is also another challenge. The auditee does not give us the timely data. It does not provide us the timely response. So various open issues which are remaining, and we cannot go into the root cause.
Very true, very true. Time is also a critical aspect, because most of the responses are delayed and the auditor does not get time. Now, believe me, recently I have done one audit committee where tomorrow is the audit committee and today I am getting the responses. And the first line, imagine the first line that the audit committee told us was that auditors, we expect the report to be given to us by before 1 week. Now, if I would have sent that report, I would have, heard the CFO. I would have sent a report which would have written most of the observations are not there, responses are not there, and again, audit committee would tell me that don't bring a contradiction or a confusion to the audit committee. You must resolve this before you come to the audit committee. So don't discuss here whether the response was there or not there. You have to clarify everything. So this is certainly a big dilemma. I agree. I guess Bhavin, you mentioned this.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. That's what this is the major challenge what we face.
Very true, very true. But yeah, here I guess that is an execution level challenge. When we actually start the execution, that is the challenge at the execution level. Here is this, these are what I've mentioned here are before we start the audit. When we get an appointment, we are still not very sure what is going to be the coverage, how much, what all things I'll have to, what would be the relevant scopes to be covered, what will be the detailing that is to be done, what and how much I have to cover is also a challenge. So these are certain challenges that the auditor has, and to an extent probably this would have made the erstwhile auditors think that, or the process owners or the stakeholders think that unless we don't move forward now, going into a traditional audit where there are scopes, there are 10 or 12 major areas defined, and then a schedule is drawn for the next 2 years or 3 years, and then we simply follow that schedule and we go ahead and start looking at it. I have personally have done this myself, that I have been given a scope of capitalizations, and when I went there, I found that at least in the last year there was no capitalization, hardly any capitalization of in terms of the total gross value of the asset. There was a 10% increase in the capitalization, which is hardly a capitalization to be covered as an full scope of internal audit. But then it gets too late. We are just 4 or 5 weeks away from the audit committee. We cannot go back to the audit committee and ask for a revision in the scope. We picked up few other areas as the CFO suggested or the MD suggested and finished the audit. But then sometimes it has happened, and I guess that is the basis why risk-based internal audit was thought about or evolved from the regular internal audits that we used to do. So let us look at what is risk-based internal audit. So in RBIA, it links internal audit to organization's overall risk management framework. Now, we all are aware that every organization is supposed to have a risk management framework. Again, I would refer back to my previous member of the committee who has, or study group who has given us on ERM. So there are a lot of documents which are made compulsory by the Companies Act or as per the requirements. of SEBI, clause 49, that there has to be a risk management framework. Responsibilities has been cast on directors, on statutory auditors, that you will have to comment upon whether this is commensurate. But see, unless that happens, risk-based audit becomes slightly a challenge. So one is that overall risk management framework can be used to develop an audit plan and to ensure that the focus areas remain what are critical to the business, instead of taking a 2-year or a 3-year plan with a huge list of 15 or 18 items and then saying that I'll do 3 or 4 items every quarter. So RBIA allows internal auditor to provide assurance to the board that risk management processes are managing risk effectively. So these risk management processes are defined to ensure that there are risks which are evaluated, which are monitored and reported wherever there is, and there are certain rectifications which have to be taken. So ideally speaking, if you have a risk management framework, more than auditing the process, it is necessary to audit or to review whether the risk management processes are working effectively or not. Because in a size like 1,000 crore or a 1,500 crore turnover company, it is quite difficult. Like earlier we used to say we can't audit all the transactions. Now I also feel that we can't audit each and every process as well. So we will have to really look at the risk management process and accordingly plan as to where the efforts of internal audit should be put in. So while internal audit is basically giving assurance on the controls that are there on the processes and transactions, risk-based internal audits evaluate. So we are not actually auditing the risk. Sorry. So we are not actually auditing.
Yes,
Auditing the risk. We are actually auditing the risk management framework. So through that we will be looking at the processes, or through that we will be looking at where should we put our attention and focus on. So every process, I mean, this is the assurance that we can get. There will be certain inherent risk that are there, and what is the response of the organization? What are the controls that are set? The residual risk is what we are going to be worried about. Certainly the risk appetite is also very critical and important as to how much the organization is willing to take the risk, and in what areas they are open to be a little aggressive, and which areas they have a very conservative view. So accordingly, the residual risk must be evaluated, because if you evaluate this response and you feel that the response is able to take care of the business risks that are there, then probably you will be able to rely on the risk register and plan your audit accordingly. That's how the risk-based audit will have to work. We'll look at risk appetite as well. So this is how primarily the risk-based audit will be evaluated or evolved. So this gives a board an assurance that the design of the risk management process and that they are working effectively. Key risks that are classified. So I just want you to recollect the format of ICFR. And in ICFR we have to, or IFC, we have to mention whether this is automated, the controls are automated, they are manual, who's the maker, who's the checker, whether the controls are key controls or non-key controls. Then we have assertions that are there. Now, if that is filled up appropriately, I guess a lot of work that we do after we go to the field can be understood before we go to the field work, and plan the focus areas according to the response that we have. Yes, my experience is that these RCMs are never updated appropriately, and most of the time, interestingly, it is being said that aap audit kar lo, उसके बाद हम इसको अपडेट करेंगे. I don't know others have the similar experience or not, or it is only me who comes across such people.
No, Ashish, you are correct.
Yeah, so what happens is that ideally this is the document that so what happens, I can't rely on the risk register, and therefore I go back. Even if I want to, I go back to starting everything. I have to evaluate all the processes, and then eventually as I move further into the audit process, I would either increase my audit procedure or reduce the sample size depending upon the results that I keep getting. But if this is updated correctly, then I guess the audit becomes more effective for the management, and certainly more value add areas can be taken up rather than us going through the entire list of activities in that scope that we have taken, and we eventually, you know, uh, either overrun the time that we have to do, or we are not able to do the coverage, or we end up putting in a lot more resource than what we had originally planned. I have heard many internal auditors saying, and I am one of them at many times, that internal audit में जितने रुपए की फीस मिलती है उससे ज्यादा तो हमारा खर्चा हो जाता है. So if you look at the man days, many times it is short over by more than 50% of the planned man days, and that's too much. I mean, no one could have ever budgeted that type of margins in the fees to accommodate a 50% overrun in the time or the mandates that we had thought about. So I guess that's how RBIA can help the auditors as well. Deploy your resources to get optimum results and still match the expectations. So I think it is very critical for us to really move towards risk-based audits and plan accordingly. At this stage, I would also like to mention that I agree many times in the first year, it is not possible for us to go into a risk-based internal audit. And again, I might not be the only guy who's saying that first year internal audit is an investment. We start earning from the second year only. So probably from the second year onwards, auditor must start documenting his findings of the first year and accordingly plan for the second year. Probably that would reduce a lot of his efforts, and still he would be able to match the expectations. Any ideas, any thoughts on this, what I just mentioned? So then let us look at risk-based internal audit plan for manufacturing sector, how we would be going about this. Well, I have just written few words over here, but each one of these boxes we will be evaluating in detail, because these are the stages of risk-based internal audit. So first is that we'll have to do a strategic analysis of the organization and see how it is positioned. And accordingly, the rest of the process will have to be taken up. So let us look at the strategic analysis. All right, I guess what I had thought was that since we are getting into a manufacturing sector, can we just sort of think of certain major risk areas which are mostly associated with manufacturing sector and not with service or banking sector. So can we just do a little brainstorming here, and just whatever comes to our mind with regard to the major risk areas which could be associated with manufacturing, can we just sort of list them down?
Yeah, definitely. So major what I from my side, it would be the plant maintenance, and with respect to hello.
Okay.
Okay. So plant maintenance, and with respect to the attendance part.
Attendance. Okay, so HR related.
HR related.
Correct.
And stock also. Some other
Inventories.
joined it.
right? Inventories, very true.
Gaurav, you wanted to add something? Gaurav.
Gaurav is there or he just left?
No, he has left. I think it's the network issue. He has joined from his
Yeah,
mobile phone.
no, no worries.
Ram sir, your view? Kabra sir, you wanted to add something?
The risk of residue operations residue disposal.
Yes, scrap, very interesting. The scrap or the that's what you meant, right, Mr. Kabra?
Not necessarily scrap, basically the
Any
residue,
waste.
for example, exactly, the process waste which cannot be used and which needs to be disposed of very carefully, or environmental issues, all those aspects, because that's a big area for the manufacturing sector.
Very true. Very critical point.
Now even it is ESG what has been framed, environmental sustainability group.
Yes, environment sustainability.
Is growing area.
Correct. See, manufacturing are primarily high capital intensive units. So, setting up a service sector could be maybe 20% of the cost of setting up a factory. So, that is one area. Again, fixed assets and capital investments could be one major area which could be on a high risk, position, because it is more or less a irreversible decision. Once you buy, like, if you buy a car and next day you don't like your car, then it becomes very difficult that what to do with that car. So it's a pretty irreversible decision on capex. So from my side, I would add capex and any major capitalizations or plant level modifications that happen.
Nehal madam has also said rightly, too many compliances from a manufacturing
Yes,
sector.
so
Yeah,
there are a huge list of legal and regulatory aspects. Like, we just had one aspect about process waste, like particularly in chemical pharmaceutical, this is a major issue. Like, how do you dispose of that waste? You would be surprised to note that, many times we use this, I'll use a very local word called chindi waste. It is called chindi waste. These are cotton waste, which is used to clean the machines. And these machines are all oiled up, and they are grease and oil which has to be cleaned from these machines. And once you clean them, this cloth cannot be disposed of like any other cloth, because now it is having oil, and oil is something that you cannot dispose of anywhere. So it becomes a hazardous waste, and you have to dispose of as per the environmental laws. So is as simple as that. A small thing can cause a difficulty in terms of legal and regulatory compliances. So I have listed down some points. So capex is one. EHS, I guess that was the point. Environment, health and safety. Nowadays, health and safety of workers and the overall environment is very important. I'm sure everyone would have mentioned about fire NOC in their reports recently. In the last 6 months, सबने लिखा होगा fire NOC के बारे में. So, ये it is part of employee health and safety. अभी, there are so many aspects. I would have maybe I saw once in an organization a checklist of around 350 points under EHS. That's a huge list. They have, how much illumination you have, what is the sound level, what is the air circulation level, etc. So there's a huge lot of things that you have to really look at EHS. Again, manufacturing is typically where your raw material is around 40-50% of the total selling price, approximately. Some have 30%, but then they would have labor or power as another major component. But RM consumption still remains as one of the highest expenditure or outflow. Market dynamics, yes. Recently, what had happened was that the China wave that had come, or the sentiment that had come across, a lot of electrical small scale companies got a lot of benefit out of it, because most of the electrical products we used to use was Chinese, and suddenly it was all vocal for local, and that gave a great advantage. So market dynamics is a risk. And as we have discussed, that it could turn either ways. It is an uncertainty. Maybe you never know. Tomorrow we might have a good relation with China, and suddenly there is again exports, imports starting. This could pose a risk. We just discussed about legal and governance. Inventory was mentioned in our discussion. I guess the entire working capital is a huge risk area. There's a lot of uncertainty with regard to procurement and inventory, with regard to receivables, and with regard to the payables. I mean, payables, okay, but mostly receivables and inventory are two areas where we see that there is an uncertainty involved or a risk involved. लॉजिस्टिक्स इज समथिंग वेरी स्पेसिफिक टू मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. सर्विस सेक्टर में खाली वो लोगों को ट्रांसपोर्ट की बस जो चलती है, उसके अलावा बहुत ज्यादा लॉजिस्टिक्स होता नहीं है. बट यहाँ पे लॉजिस्टिक्स इज अ वेरी पिक्यूलियर एस्पेक्ट अबाउट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. Again, insurance, there are very specific insurances which are for manufacturing setup are there, and incidentally this is because the total capex is high, because the entire working capital is a very high investment. Covering the risk through insurance and ensuring that there is adequate coverage is a very critical area for manufacturing. And certainly factory and operations, we just initially discussed a lot of things about the factory and operations, like plant maintenance was the first item that was mentioned. So I guess these are the few areas. There can be many, and there can be various subsets of these areas as well. So I just thought that to get everyone to start thinking about imagining a factory as to how things would be running around in a factory. I just thought that we'll first look at the broad risk areas and then move into risk-based audit. But all theory, even I get bored very fast. So I think let us start looking at some cases. Let us assume a client and look at. So this is a client who's into geomembranes. These are special. So what they do is they create lining, they help in water conservation, etc. They do manufacturing, product consultation, installations, training. A old company, and a good turnover, picking up growth since last 3 years. Once a pioneer in this product line. So this is a sort of a company that we get as a client, and how do we work towards a risk-based audit is what we will try. Certainly, we will not be able to make an entire audit universe and the audit plan for all the areas, but we will try to discuss as to what all things can be done when we start working on a risk-based audit. So risk appetite is something that we will have to really identify before we move further, and this is a simple matrix that we have here on the screen, which says it's a simple multiplier. I guess this was also discussed in the previous study circle meeting. So we have I'm just put that here, that it's just a simple multiplier. So if you look at any box, it will be the impact, and the multiply with the likelihood is the answer that comes in the impact. So this is the number, and we will have to discuss with the management as to what could be their tolerable risk. So certainly we have here that which is acceptable, desirable, but I have seen few companies. One company I was working here, and they are very, very, very fussy about employee safety. So it's around 30 kilometers away from Baroda, and if you go on a motorcycle to that company, regardless of whether you are wearing a helmet or not helmet, at that time they had a rule that you are simply terminated. So you cannot go on your own vehicle. You will have to go in the company bus only.
Okay.
That was the limit. Like, the risk is very negligible risk uh, of an accident or something happening to that employee. Neither it is made a rule for only the critical employees, like, the key employees whose absence can cause an impact to the operations. Nothing doing. They were saying nothing. No, no, we are not accepting anything. So such thoughts are there, and companies do follow it rigorously as well. So sometimes you will come across some certain things which you might feel that is not important, but the company feels it very differently, and therefore it is very important for you to really discuss this with the company, that this is your estimate and what could be the risk appetite. So anything that goes in yellow, the company says that we are not okay with, or anything above 4 or anything above 5, the company is not going to be okay with. So this you have to discuss with the board of directors and the audit committee, who would be telling you the risk appetite. Personally speaking, only few audit committees were willing to discuss this with me, and few have been actually gone on record to say that this is our risk appetite. Otherwise they say no, 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 this is for the MD to decide. And we try to explain them that, sir, MD, we cannot decide this. I mean, we have to tell that this is the line below which it becomes critical, or is acceptable, and above which it becomes critical, and we need to really take a strong action. So no, 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 we will. But few companies really have, independent directors have taken pain, and the entire board has taken pains in understanding as to how this is going to be, and decide and give us a risk appetite with a rating that anything above 8 is not, we are not willing to accept, and we will take immediately strict action. Anything below 8 can be handled by the managing director, or the executive directors can take care of that. So keep an eye on it, they tell us, but don't report to the audit committee, except that their actions are not taken. So but this normally happens um, at the discretion of the auditor. When you decide and this is going to be a high risk, you bring it to the audit committee, but it is not at the mutual understanding with the audit committee. And this is one of the biggest reasons why sometimes we feel that the independent directors are not willing to listen to us when we speak or when we make our presentation. ऐसे भी हमको 15-20 मिनट मिलता है ऑडिट कमेटी में, और उसमें भी वो कोई सुनता नहीं है, तो हमको ऐसा लगता है यार इतना दौड़ा भागी करके वो सुना नहीं हमारी बात. But I guess you must take an appointment of the independent director, meet them and explain and discuss with them as to what their risk appetite would be. May not be in a number, but at least they will give you a good idea as to what they expect from the but yes, it is a challenge, let me tell you. I mean, easier said than done.
FaceTime.
Sorry, you said something?
So more, so more FaceTime we should buy it from the independent director. So this is what you rightly
Yes.
said. In an audit committee, it is hardly 5-10 minutes what we do it, but we should buy more time, the FaceTime from and get more insight from an independent director.
So उसके लिए कैसा, what to do is that you should be able to release your report at least 15 days before the audit committee. अभी ये खुद ही एक चैलेंज हो जाता है 15 दिन पहले.
True.
This by itself becomes a big challenge, and therefore sometimes the auditor shuns away because his report is not complete. So उसको पता है, वो जाते ही बोलेगा तो रिपोर्ट तो कंप्लीट किया नहीं है, मेरे पास क्यों आया है. सो वो भी थोड़ा सा एक चिकन एंड द एग है ये वो क्या पहले होगा क्या नहीं होगा. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, we have to constantly strive to reach up to that point. Maybe we can do this after the audit committee also. So interestingly, I found them more receptive after the audit committee. So if not before the audit committee, they are willing to give you time, because वो क्या होता है, वो 15 तारीख खत्म, 45 days खत्म हो जाते हैं, फिर उनके पास 10-15 दिन तो टाइम रहता ही. So उसमें that's the window which we can really utilize. But yes, my success rate has been not very, I can't boast about कि मैं हर जगह जाता हूँ तो वहाँ मेरे को बहुत बड़ा success मिलता है. Everywhere it is not possible.
Everywhere it is not possible.
It depends a lot on the board and their tone at the top as well.
True.
So strategic analysis is how the organization reacts to challenge. Certainly, I mean, these are all the things: management style, appetite, business plan. आपको पूरा company के बारे में जानकारी लेना है. You must, all these things need to be documented. This is another point which I feel that, जिस तरह हम लोग जाके उसको कैसा पहला पॉइंट आप कोई भी O2C या वेंडर P2P का ऑडिट करते हैं तो हम पहला पॉइंट लिखते हैं ना कि vendor master is not maintained properly or customer master is not maintained and there are certain lacunas or these are the compulsory fields which are not updated and XYZ. Do we maintain a client master? हमारे पास वो client master कितना डिटेल में हम बनाते हैं. हमारा ऑडिट का एक मास्टर फाइल होना चाहिए जिसके अंदर ये सब चीजें लिखी हो और उसके कंक्लूजन्स भी लिखी हो. So what happens is that we take all SOPs, we take the last 2-3 years balance sheet and file them and say कि मेरा audit master बन गया. But no, not that way. Risk-based audit will be that you will have to go through it, you will have to understand, start documenting with regard to business informations, organization background, tone at the top, what actually they are looking. So risk appetite and tone at the top are going to go hand in hand. Management style, because many times you will find that everywhere the director wants to sign himself, even if it is a 500 crore turnover company, वो बोलेगा नहीं cash voucher भी मैं ही sign करूंगा, or my son will sign or my GM will sign. So sometimes they don't want to delegate. Sometimes वैसे कि उसको पता ही नहीं होता है क्या क्या हो रहा है कंपनी में. So they are over delegations or under delegation. So all that we'll have to look at and document. These are going to be very important for us to decide what audit procedures or what audit planning we will be doing. If you look at strategic analysis of New Age Limited, directors are technically experts, progressive thinking, objective is to become, but the average team age in the company is 15 years, which means that there are many people who are more than 20-25 years in the company. So while it can be a great advantage, in times of growth, this can be a great deterrent as well, because resistance to change is something that is there, except that the team is highly motivated. Risk appetite, they have mentioned that we are not ready to take any financial and legal risk. The seasonal business expansion is in progress. All this needs to be documented along with the financials, the basic trend analysis, the financial data that we capture, the legal framework that we have, RCMs that we would take. Everything has to be captured under strategic analysis. This gives an idea as to how the organization will think when it is faced with certain challenges. Say, for example, today, if you will see that they might be a little aggressive in buying because they are technical expert guys. They would say, okay, to mera ho jayega. They are usually they want to become global leaders, so they would be little aggressive in their sales as well. But they might not be very aggressive in say taking a bank finance or going in for a very say contemporary mode of funding. They would say कि नहीं वो हम थोड़ा traditional में रहेंगे. They might not be willing to delegate certain responsibilities. So that's how the organization is going to think. So that helps in deciding what we would be looking at in risk-based audit. But yes, there is no standard template. There is no nothing that is available for something like this. We have to meet the senior management and understand how the policy and risk framework is. This will help us to understand the risk maturity in the organization, that how mature the organization is when we look at a risk perspective. So whether they have an MIS, whether they have ERP controls, whether they have policy and procedures written. So you must pick up the IFC document here and see there is an entity level controls, ELC as we say, and go through the ELC if they have, certainly. So if you look at the ELC, you will get a lot of understanding. most of the time that is the last thing that we ask. जब हमको वो बोलता है ना कि अरे आपने IFC नहीं देखा हमारा, तो क्या हाँ वो रह गया, वो भेजो IFC हम देखते हैं, हम 2 किसी को भेजता हूँ, मैं IFC करता हूँ. So that's how it happens. And ऐसा नहीं है, मैं भी इसमें आप सबके साथ ही हूँ, अगर आप लोग उसमें हो तो, नहीं तो मैं तो हूँ ही. So this is how it typically goes, but unless we don't look into it, I guess the risk-based auditing, we will not be able to reach to that level. Now, all of this has to be done before we prepare a plan. So I have not yet mentioned about what would be the scope areas. I'm just saying that I'm just understanding the organization. There are 2 aspects here. One is that many times the company doesn't give us this time. आपको अपॉइंटमेंट ही सितंबर में देगा वो, और बोलेगा अरे वो ऑडिट कमिटी है अभी 30 दिन में, 30 days में, आप एटलीस्ट एक रिपोर्ट तो लेके आओ. So where do you have the time to do anything? And what will you say? So we can't do anything. But as I said, these are things that you can do in the next year. So don't miss out in the next year. Believe me, the board is expecting much more in the next year than what they are expecting in the first year. So ensure that you don't miss out on such evaluations by the next year or the second year of your audit. So what happens is that you would do this review and you can say that whether at what level we are. So first level is where there is no SOP, no nothing, and there are 2 answers. कि साहब मैं इधर 20 साल से काम करता हूँ, मेरे को पता है. और दूसरा, आप उससे थोड़ा ज्यादा क्वेश्चन पूछोगे तो बोलेगा साहब ये सब सेट को भी बताया हुआ है. And I'm talking of a 500 CR turnover company, not talking of a 50 crore turnover company. ये सबको पता है और डायरेक्टर साहब को बोला है, उनको मैं डायरेक्ट रिपोर्टिंग करता हूँ. These are the 2 things. So this is pretty heroic and naive way of handling risk. वो as I always say कि वो कभी कोई दिन बेचारा कोई बलि का बकरा बन जाएगा इसके अंदर, because you never know what can go wrong, and then suddenly somebody else will be blamed for this. There is no structure through which a decision is taken. Accordingly, as you see that the risk management process is better and better, the levels of risk or the levels of maturity can be seen here. So I'm not reading through all the 5 levels. In any case, I've shared this presentation and I'm sure Bhavin will share that with you all. So you can just have a look, and ये सब available ही है सब जगह. कोई भी आप देखोगे तो मिल जाएगा इसमें. कोई भी गाइडेंस नोट देखोगे, कुछ देखोगे तो मिल जाएगा. So things become very easy when you have defined at what level, which process. Now it is not necessary that the entire organization would be at a level. It is possible that certain processes are at that level and the certain processes are at a better level or a lower level. So risk maturity has to be looked at the critical business functions and accordingly evaluated with regard to where do we stand at. Any questions or any points on risk maturity?
As of now, no. From my side, if anyone wanted to do it, Anil, Parikh.
I was actually expecting a question कि ये कैसे decide करोगे, इसका कोई format है कि नहीं है. So मैं खुद ही question पूछ के खुद ही उसका answer दे देता.
Very nice.
Anyway, अभी ये word file दिख रहा है मेरा?
Yes, we can see it.
So see what happens is that there has to be some way of scoring. कैसे आप इस पे बोलोगे कि भाई मैं कौन से लेवल पे खड़ा हूँ. हर चीज तो जजमेंट पे मैं एग्री करता हूँ कि मार्किंग जब देने की बात आती है टू अ एक्सटेंट जजमेंट यूज होता है. लेकिन सपोज फॉर एग्जांपल आप ये जो स्क्रीन पे अभी वो आप देखोगे तो ये सारे बुलेट्स के मार्क्स आप बना लो and you simply start putting your score after you have evaluated. Say for example, the specific responsibility assigned, or you look at the second row where you say formal risk management policy है कि नहीं है. सो के नहीं है तो आपको ऑब्वियसली 0 या 1 देना पड़ेगा, और अगर है तो आपको वो पढ़ के आपको थोड़ा देखना पड़ेगा कि वो कितने लेवल तक वो अच्छी है, रेडीनेस कैसी है उसकी। अगर आपको एकदम परफेक्ट लगता है तो आप 5 देंगे या 4 देंगे, नहीं अच्छा लगता है तो 2 या 3 देंगे, बट दिस अगेन हैज टू बी इन कंसल्टेशन विद द management, because sometimes so many documents we may not be able to really review it ourselves as well. So like here we see that whether policies and processes are documented or not. So सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन SOP है कि नहीं, तो क्या SOP, ये रहा SOP हम देते हैं, वो कितना पुराना है, तो कि ये 2015 में बनाया था, अभी भी प्रोक्योरमेंट के SOP में वैट, एक्साइज, सर्विस टैक्स लिखा हुआ है, तो कह रहे ये तो यार अभी इसको अपडेट करना पड़ेगा, तो मैं उसको 2 पॉइंट्स दूंगा, चलो पर बाकी के प्रोसेस। सो समथिंग लाइक दिस, once you start putting down your each and every line item wise, if you will go on mentioning that where what score you are able to get, और फिर आप जब इसका टोटल करोगे तो आप देख सकोगे कि आपका टोटल स्कोर कितना आ रहा है। उसके बाद आप ये रेंज के हिसाब से, these are all things that you need to discuss and decide before you start the evaluation. And then you can say that if you are getting a score of say maybe 30, then where do you stand? So you stand between in a 60 to 89 grade 2, which is disciplined and systematic organization, where at least there are a lot of things which are in place, few things are not in place. But if you come below 50, then it looks like that certain areas you have done well, certain areas you have yet to even start. So this could be an evaluation that would be possible. So I just thought that we'll
very nicely, sir.
maybe back on the presentation. Can you see the screen of presentation?
Yes, yes.
I had one question on that Word document which you have shared.
Yeah.
So how do we incorporate the process importance? For example, if you go to that down, go down, please. Yeah, this on the second part about the second or third. In fact, on the third document process. So how do you take care that what is important for that organization, which process we need to focus? So will we have another metrics for that? Say, for example, whether that for that organization procurement is very critical, or the operation is very critical, or the quality is very critical. So how does that appear into that second or third block, so that you focus on
certainly
the
that's
things?
a very valid question, and we were to go on to this as we would move on, but since that you have taken it right now, I would also look to answer to that question. See, what happens is that at this stage when we are evaluating the maturity of the organization, we really don't go into every detail sub process. First we try to see whether for a sub process, say for example we have evaluated that factory operations is a risk area initially when we saw that understanding of the business, and then looking at which could be the critical areas of an organization. So in that case, when we see this, we say that whether in factory related operations, whether we have SOPs, whether this is through ERP that all the work orders are put in place or not, etc., etc. And we can have our own listing done for every process that you would evaluate. But as of now, in this framework, because it was more for evaluating at what level we are at, we would do it for the company, and we would do it for the critical business processes, wherein we say, okay, in procurement, do you have documented policies and processes? Do you have authority metrics defined? Is the workflow well designed in the ERP system? If there are any gaps, are they brought out adequately or not? So is there a reporting mechanism, like is there an MIS which brings out exceptions? Like delay in invoice booking, it could be as simple as that. Does it get reported to or escalated to the procurement head that the invoice are able to be booked?
Okay.
So once that happens, then we can look at the process level evaluation also. We will just come to that slide also. This is what we were looking at. process of identification of estimation and evaluation, you see the risk control metrics, you see the SOPs, you see the maturity. Now you already know that this is the how the organization has to be evaluated. And then what we look at is, suppose I have taken an illustrative example that process at level 1 maturity, where I can call them as NAVE, is plant maintenance and engineering stores. See that where the directors themselves are technocrats, they have this tendency of saying, हाँ मेरे को पता है मैं करवा दूंगा उसको, repair maintenance, production, ऐसी चीजों के लिए वो लोग, because they are very conversant with it. So जैसे मैं खुद मेरा अकाउंटिंग ठीक से नहीं करता हूँ, बिकॉज मेरे को पता है इनकम टैक्स वाले 2 दिन बैठूंगा ना तो मैं सब ठीक से कर दूंगा, बिकॉज आई एम गुड एट इट. So usually that is how it happens. I have seen people delay those tasks in which they are really good at it. So वो काम वो जल्दी नहीं करते, वो आराम से करते हैं. Where you are scared or you are not confident, वो काम आप टाइम से कर लेते हो. So यहाँ पे ऐसा देखने में आता है कि प्लांट मेंटेनेंस, इंजीनियरिंग स्टोर्स, ये उसकी मैच्योरिटी नहीं है. डिसिप्लिन है, ये मैच्योर प्रोसेस है. थोड़े प्रोडक्शन, प्रोक्योरमेंट, कैपेक्स, आईटी, थोड़ा बहुत इसमें उन्होंने कुछ काम किया है, लेकिन कुछ एरियाज में उन्होंने बहुत काम किया है, लाइक सेल्स, एचआर, अकाउंटिंग एंड फाइनेंस, कंप्लायंसेस, इन सब में उन्होंने बहुत काम किया है. एंड दे हैव मेड इट very at a very good level, where you see that there is a good maturity level in these functions. So obviously now you have started to think. Now we have not even started the audit as yet, not even given the plan to the audit committee, but now you are already starting to think कि हाँ अगर ये हो जाए तो बहुत बढ़िया. Now we do it, but we just ask the director, आप बताइए ना साहब क्या क्या अपने को पहले करना चाहिए, तो बोलेगा ये सब पहले करो. And that's how we decide, but we don't have an evaluation for this. And that is exactly what this whole session is about, that how do we evaluate. And therefore when we do this, I guess we get a much more clarity with regard to where the focus should be. So obviously now if I was to select the first round of audit, I would have said plant maintenance एक तो मैं वहां से ले ही लूंगा, मैच्योरिटी जिसकी कम है, और दूसरा मैं कहीं से भी ले लूंगा. सो आई से प्रोडक्शन ले लेता हूँ, थोड़ा डिसिप्लिन वाला है तो थोड़ा मेरे को फास्ट भी हो जाएगा, और प्लांट मेंटेनेंस में थोड़ा टाइम भी मैं ज्यादा दूंगा, और मेरा रिपोर्ट अच्छा भी बनेगा, दोनों रिलेटेड भी है, तो मेरे को एक साथ में ये काम हो सकेगा. सो समथिंग लाइक दिस आई वुड बी थिंकिंग. सो ऑडिटर का इवैल्यूएशन इतना देखने के बाद क्या आएगा, तो अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ रिस्क इज इनकंसिस्टेंट. कंपनी में रिस्क का they are not very sure, everything they have not covered. Risk evaluations is not documented, risk register तो नहीं बना होगा, इतना देख के हमें धीरे धीरे ये सब चीजें पता चल जाती है. एंड बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर या ऑडिट कमेटी का एक्सपेक्टेशंस वुड नॉट बी क्लियरली, बिकॉज वो बोलेंगे आप देखो ना सर, फिर बताते, फिर अपन डिस्कस करते, पहले आप ऑडिट तो कर लो फिर अपन बात करते. दिस इज द नॉर्मल थिंग दैट वी गेट. व्हाट शुड द ऑडिटर डू इन सच अ सिचुएशन? तो पहले हमें बोलना चाहिए कि आप आपका रिस्क रजिस्टर कंप्लीट करो. Maybe this can get you a new assignment, or maybe they would simply add it in your scope with the existing fees. So it's a double-edged sword. Careful with this when you do this. But if you present it well, I guess you can explain the difference between completing a risk register and doing internal audit. So wherever required, we'll have to do it with the management, and what areas to be covered in the audit, that has to be really seen. And finally, the reliance on risk registers must be documented. Wherever you have risk registers, you'll have to see whether they are updated properly, the evaluations are done correctly and reported correctly or not. So I guess with this, you can go to the audit committee, prepare your plan, and then you can. So these are the basic things that you need to document, and then work on the audit plan, and that is how you will be able to go to the audit committee. So as we said, when we look at these two areas, we would decide that we'll take up plant maintenance, production planning and control as two areas for which we would want to make a risk-based audit plan. I guess we are just about time. We have another 25 minutes to make this plan. So I would want to spend good time on these slides which are coming up, and I guess we have good time now, because after that the execution part, I would not be dwelling too much on the execution part. I would be more focused on how to look at, which areas to look at, how, like, these questions were there. So let us start working. Any answer for this?
So operation.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah. So I was saying, who will prepare the risk-based IA plan? So I think it would be, if there is a risk management committee or a department, then they will prepare it. If it is not, then from a CFO perspective.
So the chief internal auditor has to prepare it. Even if it is a committee, there would be a chief internal auditor who is responsible for making this audit plan. And if at all it's an external auditor, then it would be, this is in consultation with the CFO, because you don't know who's the chief internal auditor inside. So you will have to work along with the CFO to make this plan. Now, IA plan, certainly I've already mentioned that this needs to be approved from the audit committee or the board. So make out a good plan, include these aspects of risk assessment, risk maturity, and the rating that you have given to various processes, and accordingly select and decide which areas you would want to audit first. Many times the audit committee also tells us that these are the areas that they want to get audited, where they have a good internal risk management framework. They are able to tell us which areas to audit. So let us start with plant maintenance. We have two locations. The one was a new one for our New Age company, New Age Limited, and we have maturity level of Naive. Here we will have to carry out the assessment with the management, because you will not get SOPs, you will not get RCMs, you will not get any great documented controls. So what can happen is that you can decide on the overall universe, saying that in the new factory, because maintenance is mostly more relevant for the old factory where the machines have got little old, you say that we'll do some selected areas in the new factory, but old factory to be covered as per risk evaluation. So we will have to write down all the areas first that you would want to check in plant maintenance. Any thoughts on this? What all things should be covered in the plant maintenance?
It would be plant maintenance area. It would be, I think, a 8D report or a breakdown report.
Right.
If it is occurred, or any preventive maintenance, whether it has been happening based on the schedule. Can this be possible? Hello,
Yes, so
is there
preventive maintenance. Yes.
breakdown report?
Breakdown report, preventive maintenance. Yes. What more?
Kabra said maintenance plan.
Maintenance plan. Yes, that is preventive maintenance.
When
Anything else? Any other participant would like to speak? Although we have very few. Yes, but it's a good forum. Everyone should keep their mics on then.
yeah, definitely.
No worries. I'll just try to make our list. So certainly preventive plant maintenance breakdown is one area. See, there are tickets raised whenever आपका लैपटॉप बिगड़ जाता है तो आपको कहीं टिकट रेज करना पड़ता है ना. So वो टिकट रेज किया.
Incident reporting.
हाँ, रिपोर्टिंग के साथ मैं
Yeah.
कुछ इंसिडेंट हुआ नहीं हुआ, पर मैंने बोला मेरा भाई ये वाला सॉफ्टवेयर ठीक से नहीं चलता है, आप जरा देखो, अभी मेरा काम चल रहा है पर आप देख लेना ऐसे. So there are tickets raised. Then we have to create job cards. Now, very interestingly, job cards has to be well evaluated for the reason that this is where all the cost would get loaded. When you get your spares issued, it is against a job card, and that is how the cost is charged to the which machine we have to charge that. Machine-wise maintenance cost reports. The prime requirement is job cards. So, what are open, what are closed with job cards have not been charged with the right values, has to be looked at. Anyone has an idea what is LOTO?
From my side, no.
Yeah, it's very specific to engineering companies and manufacturing setups like this. This is log out, tag out. Whenever you have to start any maintenance on any machine, there is a log out, tag out process. Like I'll tell you, many times you would have seen that in machines, there is some residual chemical which is lying there, which is always going to be there. Or there is some, a job which is already put onto the machine. Whenever you want to take that machine on maintenance, there will be a lot of work that is required in terms of opening the machine, keeping their other spare parts appropriately. So there is a process called log out, tag out. So the operator must have to, log it out. Operator has to declare that this machine is not to be used. जैसे आपका ब्रेक रिपेयर में गया हो और आपने वो स्कूटर ऐसा का ऐसा ही रखा हुआ है और वो ब्रेक के लिए रिपेयर में खड़ा है, पर किसी को पता नहीं है कि वो स्कूटर का ब्रेक नहीं चल रहा है, कोई लेके चल देगा स्कूटर तो एक्सीडेंट हो जाएगा. एज सिंपल एज दैट. सो यू हैव टू पुट अ टैग दैट ये इसमें ये चीजें खराब है, इसको यूज नहीं करना है, आउट ऑफ ऑर्डर का बोर्ड लगाना है, एक्सेट्रा. सो दीज आर some very typical processes which manufacturing companies have to follow. Any idea about CAPA?
Yeah, definitely. CAPA, I neglected. CAPA to corrective and preventive action. Yeah.
Perfect. Corrective and preventive action. कभी कोई मशीन बिगड़ जाती है तो उसके बाद पता चलता है कि भाई ऑपरेटर ने इसको ओवरलोड कर दिया था, या इसको ज्यादा ही स्पीड पे चला दिया था, या इसमें हैवी मेटल कटिंग मशीन में वो 4 mm का उसमें था तो उसमें 8 mm भी कट कर दिया था तो उसकी ब्लेड खराब हो गई, समथिंग लाइक दैट. सो देयर इज अ CAPA which comes up, that there is a corrective and preventive action plan and that has to be followed. That because of this reason, dust की वजह से मशीन बिगड़ती है तो डस्ट के कवर्स लगाने जरूरी है, तो whether that has been done or it is not. So that is about CAPA. Incident report, I guess we just discussed. Anyone knows about what is MBD in insurance? So there is an insurance available for machine breakdown. Machine breakdown होती है तो not only उसका खर्चा अपने को मिलता है, but sometimes there is some compensation also if it is out of order for more. You can claim some compensation also in terms of loss of profit due to that breakdown. So
correct. You have said it during the capex in Anil prior. This also you have suggested. Yeah.
So ये इसमें मेंटेनेंस में भी आता है MBD और बहुत क्रिटिकल होता है कि ये मेंटेनेंस टीम को पता हो कि किस किस के अंदर हमारा MBD है, किसका नहीं है, whether all machines are covered or they are not covered, because they are the people who will initiate the claim. ये उनके स्कोप में आता है. कई बार ये होता है कि एक मोटर बिगड़ गई, नई मोटर लगा दो क्योंकि वो स्टोर में पड़ी थी, और पुरानी मोटर वो उधर साइड में रख दो. तो पुरानी मोटर को सिर्फ रिवाइंडिंग के लिए भेजना था, लेकिन वो कोई भेजता नहीं है या उसका कुछ काम होता नहीं है. सो वो बहुत इजी होता है रिपेयर वर्सेस रिप्लेसमेंट. देयर इज नो. सो जॉब कार्ड से ये थोड़ा सा आइडिया आएगा कि भाई व्हाट इज बीइंग रिप्लेस्ड एंड हाउ थिंग्स आर हैपनिंग, वेयर व्हाट हैपेंड टू द ओल्ड वन, द डिस्कार्डेड मोटर, वेदर इट इज रीयूजेबल और इट इज नॉट रीयूजेबल. वो एनालिसिस होता नहीं है. सो दैट कैन बी पार्ट ऑफ द मेंटेनेंस. So critical spare list, there could be minimum maximum levels defined for critical spare list or minimum levels at least, because these are critical spares which we have to, there is a longer lead time for getting this, and we have a longer breakdown time because the spares are not there. So ये एक list होना चाहिए. वारंटी गारंटी मतलब मेरे खुद के साथ ऐसा होता है कि भाई मेरा वारंटी कार्ड ही नहीं मिलता है जब मेरे को कोई चीज रिपेयर करानी होती है. मेरे को याद ही नहीं आता है कब कितनी वारंटी थी इसकी, वो फिर मैं जाके पैसे देके रिपेयर करवा लेता हूँ. So that's something that the maintenance team has to maintain machine wise. Downtime, uptime, मशीन में मॉडिफिकेशंस होते हैं कई बार है ना. एक जैसे गियर बॉक्स को हमने अपग्रेड किया, या ड्राइव होती है वो हमने अपग्रेड करी, या उसका कोई स्ट्रक्चर या उसकी कोई ब्लेड्स हमने अपडेट करते हैं, तो उसके बारे में एक इट्स अ एंटायर, लाइक यू नो इन आईटी वी हैव दिस change management that we do in IT audits. It is same that we do in maintenance also, that any major modifications that happen to the machine, there has to be a plan, there has to be an approval, there has to be a design approval for this, and finally then you know it is as good as buying a new machine. So I've just listed down few of the critical areas that can be there for maintenance. Do a risk assessment and then maybe you can check, okay, calibration tracker ये रह गया था. So machines में you know mostly QC related machines में weighing scales पे calibration का जरूरत रहता है. AMC tracker, okay, annual maintenance contracts या जो maintenance contracts होते हैं उसके लिए. से फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये 40 मैन डे का प्लान मैंने बनाया था, इतना सारा अगर मैं देखता, अभी मैं उसका रिस्क असेसमेंट करूंगा एंड वी विल सी कि कौन से एरियाज हम करेंगे. सो वी विल से दैट ओल्ड फैक्ट्री का ही फोकस एरिया करेंगे, न्यू फैक्ट्री में तो दो चार सिलेक्टेड एरियाज है वही हम करेंगे. सो रिस्क असेसमेंट के बाद जो रेसिडुअल रिस्क बचा, दैट इज व्हाट वी वुड बी लुकिंग एट. सो वी फाइंड दैट प्रिवेंटिव एंड प्लांट मेंटेनेंस इज नॉट adequately done. And again, to how do we decide on this? We will have to write down whether there is a schedule, say out of 5 you give the marks, whether that is filled up after everything, whether that is reported on an MIS basis, whether we have a maker checker for that reports, whether the AMC reports, maintenance team who does the report, do they prepare a visit report or a review report of that machine, whether there is a sort of an clearance with regard to whether the machine is working correctly or not, whether the defective pieces are they attributable to. So all of that, if you will map with some rating, when you evaluate these areas, you will know that whether you are above the risk appetite or below the risk appetite. So we are just as an illustration, we are saying that preventive planned tickets raised, job cards, these are not done properly, logout, tagout is not done, CAPA is not maintained only, or they are not following, there is no action taken report on CAPA. Insurance, there is no clarity, somebody sitting in the admin office takes the insurance, the maintenance team doesn't even know that there is an insurance. So we're not sure whether all machines are covered in the insurance or not. No analysis done. So it's all about the person who takes the decision on the spot that ये मैं ऐसा करूंगा, उसके बाद भी कुछ उसका review analysis है नहीं. Critical spare list maintained है नहीं. Modifications का कोई है नहीं. Now these are the areas which are having residual risk which go above the risk appetite, and therefore I will focus only on these areas for my audit instead of focusing on all the 15 areas or 10, 12 areas that I have decided. I would focus only on these areas and see the difference that can it make. Maybe 3 a day or 3 or 4 days of evaluation by one senior team leader can reduce the total mandate requirement by almost 60%, and still what report you will give will certainly have a much more impact to the organization, because these are areas where you are creating a framework for the risk management process. So I think this is just, I thought that I'll share Any questions, any ideas on this?
So can you so preventive and plant maintenance and kappa, can it be go simultaneously?
So see, what happens in preventive maintenance is that we go as per a schedule. Like your car has to go on a every quarterly or once in 6 months it has to go for a service. So it is like you that is a preventive maintenance schedule. So there would be cleaning, overhauling, replacing the oil or replacing the movable parts or the parts which have got certain life. So that is a preventive maintenance. Plant maintenance is when we say that this machine has starting to develop some problem, but over a period of time we say कि अभी चलेगा, but then we see कि अभी ये suppose चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स के लिए नवंबर दिसंबर थोड़ा सा रिलैक्स टाइम होता है, पर्टिकुलरली जो लोग का ये इंटरनेशनल टैक्स में नहीं होता है, सो वो बोलते हैं हम अभी हमारा जो काम होगा वो अभी कर लेंगे. सो दैट्स हाउ सीजनल बिजनेस में या अपने मेजर ऑर्डर्स डिस्पैच होने के बाद भी से कि अभी ये मशीन को मेंटेनेंस में लेते हैं. सो दैट्स अ प्लान मेंटेनेंस. Kappa is something which comes out of the root cause analysis done after a breakdown happens. So mostly kappas are from the breakdowns that we get or from the tickets that are getting raised. So like the root cause could be that the machine was overloaded. The machine, as per the norms, the machine should be stopped after it reaches a temperature of so and so. It was not stopped. So there were some circuits, or there was a voltage stabilizer not put and there was fluctuations. So उसके कापा बनते हैं कि इसमें करेक्टिव प्रिवेंटिव एक्शन क्या लिया जाएगा. That's the difference basically. But yes, प्रिवेंटिव एक्शन में अगर कोई हमें फॉल्ट मिलता है उससे भी कापा बन सकता है. There could be a corrective preventive action, but mostly it comes from a breakdown.
Kappa.
Yeah, so this is just an illustration. Maybe once you go to a plant and you discuss with the plant head or the maintenance head, you look at what they are doing, you look at their trial balance related expenses which are there for maintenance or plant related expenses. You will be able to make such a list or even a much better or a bigger list than what I have written. I have selected particularly little bit offbeat items which normally internal auditors are not either aware or they don't ask these questions. So I just trying to inform that if you go and meet the production people, if you go and talk to the plant maintenance team, they will tell you a lot of issues, and you can work towards the risk assessment and then see that how we can work on preparing a risk-based audit plan. So here maybe breakdowns are handled properly, so I am not worried about it because the director himself is a technocrat, he takes care of it himself. I am more worried about that there is no preventive plan, there is no tickets raised, there is no system. Somebody calls someone and says कि अरे वो मेरा मशीन ठीक कर देना यार, तो वो बोलता है हाँ मैं कल कर दूंगा, फिर वो उसका कोई ट्रैक नहीं है किसने कब क्या काम किया. So those could be the higher risk areas which can cause more disturbance to the operations. So have a look at the breakdown report if they have, and you will get a downtime report, and you will get to know that what is a downtime, how much time it takes to repair the machine, what is the cost that is getting incurred. So interesting findings can be there, and based on that you prepare the plan, get that plan approved, that this is the reason why we are working towards only these many areas for the audit. So again, for production planning and control, I guess my time is already over. Bhavin, we have got 5 minutes.
I'm saying
But
if we
yes.
can continue, then it is fine. We can do it.
All right. So I've just tried to list down some areas with regard to the production planning and control, which are again usually little non-conventional areas where internal auditors either they don't venture into, or they would need help of some technical guy to really get into it. But I feel that as an internal auditor, one must be able to see take help of some engineer in from the company and still be able to do it. Production planning, I guess that's the how we prepare the work orders from the sales order is what production planning would be, that process. Bill of material, I guess everyone knows about BOM, bill of material. It tells us as to what is required to manufacture the product, what all ingredients are required. So that is the bill of material. MRP is not maximum retail price. Any idea on MRP?
So it is material resource planning,
Perfect.
which is derived from sales into your BOM costing.
Correct. So production plan and BOM will get you the material requirement plan. Now, I have seen many places where bill of material is prepared and the MRP runs are done, but the timelines of when the material is required is not mentioned. So what happens? Procurement वो सब कुछ खरीद लेता है एक ही साथ. MRP में आ गया है वो खरीद लेने का. तो प्लानिंग का मतलब यह है कि कब चाहिए वो भी इम्पोर्टेंट है. कितना चाहिए क्या चाहिए वो तो है ही, लेकिन कब आना चाहिए वो भी इम्पोर्टेंट है. मोस्टली एमआरपी में वो थोड़ा सा आपको मिलेगा रिस्क एरिया. RM कंजम्पशन, क्वालिटी मैनेजमेंट, अगेन यहाँ पे भी कापा होगा, बिकॉज whatever are the quality issues that we find, we would have some improvements that we would want to do. Work in progress management, so big area, gray area for engineering companies. WIP वैल्यूएशन, WIP का फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन, ये सब बहुत चैलेंजिंग होता है. उसका आइडेंटिफिकेशन से लेके उसका ERP में रिकॉर्डिंग से लेके हर चीज पे चैलेंज आ सकता है. मटेरियल हैंडलिंग, machine capacity utilization. So these are the critical areas where the risk management has to. Yes, scrap management, certainly it is also very important. So scrap management is also one good area. Byproduct and scrap management, yes, very true. Online rejections and rework. So when we say rejections, these might go into a scrap, or these might go into a waste that is there. But certainly, I guess I have not mentioned the byproducts. So I have mentioned the rejections and the rework that is required. Interestingly, rework cost is nowhere captured. Most of the companies I have seen that rework cost is nowhere captured, and no one knows as to what could be the cost of poor quality. So cost of poor quality is also one major area that can be taken up. Shift management, as to how do you plan your shifts, how many people will come in which shift, what production will happen, whether the previous team will be able to finish their process and then hand it over. Manpower allocations, I guess Bhavin had a point in the beginning about attendance and the utilization of manpower. Job work management, अपने अंदर फैक्ट्री में तो सब हम मैनेज कर सकते हैं, जो जॉब वर्क के लिए बाहर जाता है वो किसी को पता नहीं चलता है. बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग. मटेरियल रिकंसिलिएशन, लॉजिस्टिक्स, क्वालिटी, rework, transportation cost are all critical aspects in job work management, and most of the time this area is not really addressed properly in the risk management framework. They say that packing is also one important aspect. Packing and final dispatch is also one critical aspect. Utilities, again a huge expenditure is done on utilities, and the efficiency of utilities is nowhere evaluated. कितना power पे कितना steam generate होना चाहिए वो पता नहीं है. So and finally EHS, environment, health and safety, is also there. Few areas that were mentioned by our participants, which I have not covered, is the packing and dispatch. the scrap and the byproducts, joint products, byproducts that are there are also critical aspects on. Many processes have that, the byproduct is again an input for the other product. So that's also a very interesting area where you can really look at. If you have a 100-man-day plan, do a risk assessment, spend 5 days in evaluating each process with the process owners. And you can look at the residual risk. Maybe MRP could be one area that you would want to do, RM consumption, job work could be one area. Quality management, the rejections report, the root causing and the corrective action plan. बहुत सारी डेबिट नोट्स ही रेज नहीं होती है. If you will look at the quality issues, you will realize that many debit notes which are supposed to be raised have not been raised. So that's also a good value addition that you can get. Sorry, job work has been repeated here. Employee health and safety is certainly a very critical function. So after this, you can evaluate which areas you would want to really focus on. Maybe in this company, you may find that the production planning is done very nicely because the SO and the work order is prepared, and the work in progress is also handled appropriately. So you may not want to focus there. Packing and dispatch usually is also handled carefully because it is customer facing, so we normally take care of it very nicely. But certain areas like job work is always ignored. It is always said that इसीलिए तो job work कराते हैं कि साहब वो हमको नहीं करने का है, पर वो उसको ध्यान तो रखना पड़ेगा. That is something that we'll have to really look at. Maybe this can reduce your in a very disciplined environment. This can reduce your man-days to a great extent. So evaluate the risk, and accordingly you can prepare your risk-based plan and take the approval. Any points that anyone wants to speak about on this risk-based internal audit plan?
My side, no, sir.
Actually, one thought which is coming to my mind is that while generally for our this profession, all these areas like marketing, procurement, finance, those are the areas where we have a lot of experience, and these things can be done very easily. When we go to these areas like maintenance, operations, and similar areas, EHS, etc., where until now many work may have not been done from our CA professionals, can we think of making some documents which can be supported to the overall guidelines for the internal audit? For example, we have industry-wise specific guidelines. Can some document we make in general, which can be made available to the chartered accountants for their reference, which can be for the planning, for the maintenance, for the operation, what are the areas where they should do it, and what can be the general coverage into that? Can that be thought of, and can that be discussed?
That's a very nice thought, and a very important critical one for all the practicing professionals. But I must say that if you read the industry specific guidelines, there is a lot of technical information given there. Also, as an internal auditor, what we are required to do is we have to have a process walkthrough, understand. See, we are not technical guys. We will not be able to say that whether the maintenance work that has been done correctly or not. But I can at least say that who has certified this, what is the cost that has gone into this, whether the documentation related to the maintenance was adequate or not, whether there is an SOP around this or not. So these could be the areas which can help the management to define their process. Auditor is not really expected to be an expert here, but at least he should know the sub processes so that he can question appropriately. That's my take on this.
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, if those can be made, means the questions can be asked, then the things will information will come automatically. That's all.
परफेक्ट परफेक्ट. एंड देखिए मैं आपको एक सिंपल सी चीज बताता हूँ ना, जैसे हर एक मशीन के साथ उसका एक मैनुअल आया होगा. आप एक बार खाली वो मैनुअल पूछोगे ना कि मेरे को मैनुअल दिखाओ, तो वहीं से आपके ऑब्जर्वेशन चालू हो जाएंगे. नया मशीन खरीदा है ना, इसके साथ इसका मैनुअल आया होगा, उसके बेसिस पे तेरा मशीन का एसओपी बन गया है, तो वहीं से आपके ऑब्जर्वेशन शुरू हो जाएंगे. सो द मोमेंट यू आस्क दिस क्वेश्चंस, you will start getting a clarity, understanding as well as observations.
Oh, very nice.
After that, it is execution and reporting, which is similar to what we do otherwise also. Program, detail audit procedures, analytics, testing of control. So I'm not getting into it at all.
Yes.
I'll just ये रेड कलर में लिखा है ना, ये देखो ऐड रिस्क एरियाज इफ रिक्वायर्ड. सो ये सब के बाद आपका रिजोल्यूशन ट्रैकिंग होगा. अब आपको आपका रिस्क रजिस्टर अपडेट भी करना पड़ेगा, रिस्क रेटिंग को रिवाइज करना पड़ेगा, रिस्क एपेटाइट रिव्यू करना पड़ेगा. सो जैसे आपको कोई नया एरिया मिला कि भाई जॉब वर्क में लॉजिस्टिक्स एक्सपेंस होता है, वो एक्चुअली इनवर्ड आउटवर्ड के साथ ही मैच हो जाता है. इट इज नॉट recorded separately, उसका कॉस्ट सेंटर भी अलग नहीं बनाया. So that is something that you can really look at. So make a list of additional areas that you have found during the audit and whether they are captured in the risk registers or not. That is a very important value add that you can offer to the risk management framework.
What you wanted to say?
Sir, I just wanted to see the screen again. I was trying to see my.
So Rahul, can you switch on the, or Rutuja, can you just once again present it? Rutuja, just wait, Pallavi, they will come back. You need to go, or you show me your presentation slide.
Bhavin, can I continue?
Yes. Sorry.
So just a quick recap of what we have discussed so far. Basically, the whole idea is to look at the risk appetite and the objective of what we are going to do. Map it with your business environment, create your audit universe, evaluate the risk maturity, prioritize your risk, and then go to the audit areas. I would say that what happens is that we start with the risk of each audit area directly, and therefore we start from the middle of this whole activity. So the initial steps are skipped, and therefore what happens is that we are straight away on to without a control matrix, we are preparing a residual risk and accordingly conduct the audit. So the only difference is that if you will have these aspects taken care in the risk-based internal audit, it would be certainly greatly helpful to the auditor as well as to the board for giving a good value assurance. I have one case study, but I guess we are already short of time, so I'm not taking this case study. Bhavin, with your permission.
Yeah. Briefly, you wanted to discuss, sir, since you have done it so briefly. Briefly on a summarized manner, you want since you.
Yeah, so this was primarily with regard to a job work, case study where otherwise things used look to be very well defined. ARC normal loss was well defined, and there is a when you do a preliminary review of how things are being managed. So work order based quantities, so वो सब documentation बराबर हो रहा था. क्वांटिटी रिकनसाइल भी हो जाती थी, इनपुट आउटपुट रेशियो के साथ भी मैच हो जाता था. सो QC approves quality. So when you look at the risk management process, you will find that yes, they were broadly in place. Invoices as per ARC, above normal loss is deducted as per ARC. तो वो डिडक्शन भी हो जाता था, रेगुलर पेमेंट्स रिकंसिलिएशंस भी हो जाता था. But when you look at certain aspects about risk, the job work should start with evaluating why should I do a job work?
Oh,
That
yeah.
evaluation was missing. So that entire process of evaluating, the process that needs to get outsourced, and second, to whom it is going to get outsourced. These processes were missing. So if you do a risk-based audit, you will look at interesting aspects that standard process, which is a very regular process in the organization, also gets outsourced, for which we had machines, but somehow we couldn't repair those machines. We had a breakdown, and then we started going for job work, and since then we are doing a job work. So again, if you look at a risk rating, you will find that when you do an evaluation of how much or what is the price at which the job work should be done, and what would be the review mechanism of it, you will find that what OT cost when we were doing, so it is make or buy type, or in-house or outsourced processes. So in the in-house processes, we were looking at overtime cost also. Now overtime cost is a normal cost which is not to be considered when we do an evaluation. Logistics not considered, and this was done 3 years back. After that, we have never evaluated. So when you look at a process-based risk, that whether this is getting evaluated on a periodic basis or not, your scoring is very low. Now, there is something that you get to understand from the environment by talking to people, by interviews, that who is this guy to whom we are outsourcing, what is the evaluation of selecting this vendor. We find that it was an ex-employee, वो छोड़ के गया, उसने वहां पे अपना चालू किया और उसी को काम भी मिल गया. नॉर्मल लॉस डेफिनेशन के हिसाब से कटता है, लेकिन अपने यहाँ पे कम होता था, उसके यहाँ ज्यादा होता है. So, वो normal loss, of simple comparison between what we used to do and what is happening at the job worker. So that gets you a good value unlock. That risk-based approach can bring a lot of focus to where you will actually do the audit. So you will not do actually an invoice verification. वो तो ARC के हिसाब से ही आ रहा है. So उसके पीछे बहुत टाइम लगा के कुछ नहीं कर मिलेगा आपको. लेकिन ये चीजें ही नहीं देखी तो कैसे होगा. आपसे ईयरली इवैल्यूएशन चालू किया, इन हाउस रिसोर्सेज ऑप्टिमाइज होंगे उसकी वजह से. आउटसोर्सिंग जो 15% पे था वो 7% पे आएगा. कॉस्ट सेविंग एंड बेटर कंट्रोल. सो बेसिकली दीज आर द points. I think that's good enough.
Good enough.
So any questions, I would be very glad to take any questions that you might have for this, and I would also request for a feedback, because in a short time of 1.5 hours, I could only take you through 2 processes for risk-based audits. So any feedback or any suggestions from anybody, I would be very glad to take them.
It was really a great session. Definitely, Anil will also say too. From my side, it was a very great learning. Yeah, Kabra sir, what is that?
I think very good coverage and very exhaustive coverage, and these are the new areas in which more responsibilities are being put on the internal auditors, and it is expected that we can add more value into this. So very good coverage, very exhaustive.
Thank you, Mr. Rao.
Anil? So I would.
So Ashish, it was a wonderful session, and this adds to a creativity that internal audit is expected to bring now. Our generation is expected to bring on the table, which is certainly risk-based approach instead of only vouching all the vouchers and sitting on the table. And this really needs to be taken up by all of us, I believe. And it was an excellent session by you, wherein you have taken us through the risk-based approach by how should we identify the audit areas, and nicely hooked up with uh, relevant examples of how what all areas what all your observations were, or what were your experience in these areas. We are really appreciate your hard work behind present behind preparing this presentation and coming up with so nicely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so much,
thank you.
Anilji.
And also learn various terminology like Lotto. So it would be definitely in the back of the mind at future point of the time. So it was really a great session, Ashish sir. Definitely we learned you from lot. Thank you so much. And for
Thank you
the
for such a lovely audience and participative audience. Thank you so much. I enjoyed
great,
talking to you.
yeah. Thank you everyone. Yeah, bye.
Thanks everyone. Bye. Take care.
Thanks everyone. Bye. Take care.